Next man up, 1025 The Game. It is a TD Thursday. Turron Davenport is with us, as he always is on Thursdays. It's a big one. Jake Lyman, TD, Parker Kelly with you, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. TD just narrowly avoiding the push-ups there.
That's right. Hey, listen, I got to do the push-ups anyway as part of my daily homework from training, but you know, whoo, what an adventure.
You got in here right at the buzzer. We are excited to have you in here. TD, lots to get to today, of course. Titans going to hire Robert Saleh as the head coach, but it's been a busy week for your Mets. I got to get your thoughts on it. Lots of moves for your Mets.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I know this team needed a premier frontline pitcher, an ace. I was hoping could have plucked from the Tigers, but I like Freddie Peralta, 17 wins last year, a bunch of strikeouts. He's still young. I do hate parting ways with Brandon Sproat, though.
Yeah.
He's a very good young pitcher.
Yep.
And I was talking to Willie Doncic, yesterday, and I was like, I'm old enough to remember Generation K, which was Jason Isringhausen, Bill Pulsifer, and Paul Wilson. And I'm like, everything was supposed to be beautiful with those three. The only one that made it was Isringhausen. Pulsifer had an okay career.
That's what prospects are always a risk. It's like you talk about these guys for years, and not all of them end up being stars.
I'm old enough to remember Greg Jeffers when he was coming up the farm system. So I say all that to say, Sprout is a really good prospect. I love Jonah Tong. He's Tim Lincecum Part 2, same exact delivery. And I really like Nolan McLean. So you got three young pitchers. You get a guy who's a sure thing, 17 wins. Plenty of postseason experience, so that's good. Jet Williams, I hate getting rid of him, but there's an abundance of middle infielders, right. And then the Louis Roberts Jr. trade. I'm hoping that New York, it has a way. It's either going to make you elevate, or it's going to make you cringe.
Right. It's one of those things with some of those players who maybe they just need a change of scenery. The talent's there, but you just never know which way it's going to go.
Exactly.
And then Bo Bichette, too.
Bo Bichette. I love that move. It's just they're going to play 4 shortstops. So hopefully, shortstops are usually rangy. That was a knock on Bichette, but hopefully between those 4 to be able to cover the infield.
There you go. Big week for the Mets.
Yes, sir.
And spring training is less than a month away. So we are getting close to baseball season. But big news, of course, around here this week. The Titans are hiring Robert Saleh as their next head coach. He was one of the guys we've talked about since the beginning of he's that defensive-minded leader that I think the Titans hinted that they were looking for. And this came together really quickly. He's eliminated from the playoffs Saturday night. He's supposed to do a Zoom interview Sunday. They say, no, you're good. Come on in. Let's do it in person. He has the job by Monday evening. The way it happened, it kind of feels like the Titans had him circled all along.
He was circled. He was one of the guys that they kept their eye on without a doubt. And I think as you look at the season, what he did, and we talked about this, with all those guys getting hurt and guys leaving via free agency, he took and he made that thing work. And I think when you look at the authority side of it, he is that guy that has, I'm not going to say, he's not Mike Vrabel, but he's along those lines where he's a guy, like his presence, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to respect that. You know what I mean? He doesn't obviously have the cachet that Vrabel had, but I think when you look at also, and we talked about this before as well, it's like a relationship that failed and you learn from it, right? What did Ken Ward say? You have to lose to win.
Yeah.
Right? And so he lost with the Jets. And from the sounds of it, he looked back at that experience and he said, I got to do this, this, and this better. And he started to do that with the 49ers. You heard how Brock Purdy spoke about him. You know the relationship he has with George Kittle. So I think those things are really good for his sake. Still, you got to go out and prove it.
Yeah, I like the hire of Robert Saleh. I think he's one of those guys who deserved a second chance. We've gone through all week the context around why things went wrong in New York.
Yeah.
The ownership there, as much as the ownership here gets a bad rap, the ownership in New York is not very good with Woody Johnson. And the last 2 years of his tenure, he didn't even get through the second year with Aaron Rodgers. He got fired after 5 games. Like, you bring in Aaron Rodgers and basically say, this is our plan. Our plan is Aaron Rodgers. And he tears Achilles 3 plays into his first game. Robert Saleh, yes, you wish that he won more games and wasn't 20 and 36 or whatever he is. But there's reasons those things happened, and you hope, like you said, that he was able to learn from the mistakes and that he can do better in his second opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think that's really the key thing. And what I really like about this is this roster, like, keep an eye on James Williams Sr. And when I look at this, because now PK did a great job. He went back and talked to some of the players that he coached. And he went to Paul Paslucci.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That's cool. But you know who was next to Paul Paslucci? Telvin Smith.
Right, yes.
And you know who has a very, very similar skill set and body type? And actually, when I told him I thought that, he said, you know what? You're right. And I always watch him. That's why I pattern my game. James Williams.
Yeah.
So I think when you look at the 3 linebacker look that he's going to use, that's put James Williams right there. I like the combination of James Williams, Cedric Gray, and Cody Barton.
We were talking with Corey Curtis about that yesterday, of the transition from the 3-4 to a 4-3. And James Williams, I think, is one of the guys who's going to have the most benefit from that change. He just fits better as that 4-3 outside linebacker. Femi Oladejo is kind of the guy we talked about. Is he the odd man out in this? Like, do you think there's a fit for him as a 4-3 defensive end?
He could get right, put his hand in the dirt, and rush the passer and set that edge. He could absolutely do that. And my thing is this with him, he could also, when you look at Saleh, I mean, how many times have you seen him? Now, look, folks, don't get on my timeline. I'm saying just the way he was used. You look at Nick Bosa, how many times they had him standing up, rushing the passer and playing that position.
Yeah, that's fair.
Femi could do both. And this isn't a guy that is, stuck in being a stand-up rusher. He's still making the transition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
that's true.
He's still a blank
moldable.
canvas. Yeah, you can mold him. But I tell you what this does do. Jahad Ward needs to be signed. I wouldn't be opposed to signing Sebastian Joseph Day, but when you look at the draft, we could get into it if we're up against it, but when you look at it, we'll talk some prospects.
Well, we're going to talk some prospects with the Senior Bowl because it's
chock full of them.
There is going to be a ton of talent on the field down in Mobile next week, and including probably the 2 most likely guys to be the first pick for the Titans in the draft. So we'll talk about that throughout the show. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's go to our phone lines. Wes from Hermitage is called in. Wes, thanks for calling. What you got for us today?
What's up, guys? PD, how you doing, man?
Man, I am blessed. How are you, Wes?
Hey, I'm just getting ready for this snowmageddon we got coming in.
I went to the market last night, man. It was crazy.
Nothing there. They ain't got nothing. PD, look, this is not our first time talking. And man, I highly admire you. I love everything that you put out. So I've got to ask. I'm not the only one. I got to ask. Did Amy get in the way of this hire? And yes or no, regardless, why did everything get edited and taken down? I don't understand what happened.
Wes, I thought we were all right, man. I thought we were all right. No, it's all good. Listen, I'm a grown man. I'll face the music. I'll stand by my reporting, but I will say this. More so so it was double sourced, right? What I initially put out there.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was able to gather more sources to kind of, how can I say it? I had I had more sources outweigh what I originally reported.
Gotcha.
And so on the strength of being accurate, because I pride myself on being accurate, and that's why I didn't sleep that night, because I was really messed up because it wasn't completely accurate. But I will say this, that was Mike Borgonzi's decision. He headed the committee. The committee and ownership all unanimously concluded that that's the guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy. Nagy was there, but he has a way, Robert Saleh. I can't wait to meet this guy because I want to feel that presence. But he has a way. He had a way of convincing all of them, look, this is it. So, my bad on that one. Okay. It wasn't 100% accurate. It was close, but It is what it is.
I kind of assumed somebody was going to call in. I didn't know it would be this early and ask about that.
It's all
But I
good.
mean, I think you can see that there could be both sides of it can be true, right? That maybe heading into the process, Mike Borgonzi did think Matt Nagy would end up being the guy. That, hey, that's a guy I'm familiar with. I think he deserves a second chance. But that's why you go through the process. And when you get Robert Saleh in the room and you feel that presence, like you said, and they hear his plan, things flip.
I say this, right? Props to Mike Borgonzi for making a decision that he thought was the best for the team and not the best for his relation. Like imagine your homie. Like imagine you got a homie that's a radio guy and you get this show and he's like, "Hey man, I need a job, dog."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Yeah, well, I got to go through." And you're like, "Boss, I
right. It's like,
I love you,
hey,
but
I think
can't
you're
do
great,
it.
but
I gotta go.
My job's on the line here too.
Bingo.
I've got to find the right guy for the job." Yeah. And this is back-to-back years where we kind of went into it with an assumption. Chad Brinker and John Eric Sullivan.
Yeah.
The assumption was, he's just going to hire his friend. He made the right decision and hired the best candidate. I think that's what Borgonzi did as well. We've gotten more reporting from you, from Paul Kaharski, from Albert Breer talking about the process and that the ownership and Mike Borgonzi kind of went aside after the interview and said, hey, yeah, that's our guy.
The whole committee. But I will stress again, it was Mike Borgonzi's decision. It was his decision. He was empowered. Like that because sometimes you'll see a release and the actions don't match it. No, that release, what she said about him being empowered, that's what
right.
It was.
Like we can look back to when Brian Callahan got fired, and there's the question of, did ownership make this happen, or did the football people decide it? And you could tell pretty clearly the football people didn't really want to do it. I think you can tell based on the action so far that Borgonzi has been given the I'm looking for the right word.
The keys.
He's been given the keys.
To the castle, man.
And I think he's trying to use it in the best way possible because he knows, again, his job's on the line here too.
Yeah.
And we'll see. They're gonna introduce Robert Saleh coming up in at least a couple of days, and we'll get to hear
sometime.
We'll get to hear more from Mike Borgonzi and, of course, from Robert Saleh about the whole process. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We are off and running on this TD Thursday. Again, your chance to talk to TD coming up at 10 a.m. So if you have questions, make sure you get those in on our phone and text line. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. On the other side, when you hire Robert Saleh, the offensive coordinator becomes the next big domino to fall. And it looks like there is a front runner who two. We'll get to that on the other side, I guess, then. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. See, this is why I like to be back in studio. Last week I couldn't experience this if TD feeling the music coming back from break.
Right there, man. That neither one of you guys were alive when that song came out. I was
1983.
I was about to say I was 7, 6.
Yeah, I was. I was far from being alive at that point.
Man. Parker going way back. That's my quarterback. Quarterback QB precision. By the way, we got to shout out the shirt and the brand. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right. We've been working together for 2 years, and we already have the chemistry down.
There you go.
What I'm saying? Look, man, he throw that corner out. He knows the way I'm gonna break.
Before you break.
Before you know where I'm breaking.
Before you break.
I know you throw it upfield. You know what I mean? That cover 2 look. You know, I gotta break it up towards the pylon. He leads me up there, and you know what it is.
It's he knows what songs you want before you even know it.
That's what I'm saying.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Again, your chance to talk to TD coming up at 10. So get your questions in on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. TD, we're talking offensive coordinator there. And the report yesterday from Diana Rossini was that Brian Daboll is in the mix for the Bills head coaching job, and he is actually interviewing for that job in person today. So maybe we get some clarity soon on Brian Daboll. But the report from Diana Rossini is if he does not get that job, he is going to be the next offensive coordinator of the Titans. You mentioned there might be another option for the Titans if Daboll maybe does get that job for the Bills.
Yeah. So first, let's talk about Daboll. And you look at what he brings to the table. He is a guy last year with Jackson Dart, a lot of RPOs, which is perfect for Cam Ward.
Yep.
You also have to look at the Earhart-Perkins offense, right? Remember, he kind of cut his teeth with Josh McDaniels, which is the Earhart-Perkins offense, which a lot of spread. They do take vertical shots, tempo. Those are all things that they do. Look at what Tom Brady, and again, folks, don't do it. Don't get in my timeline talking that foolishness. I'm not saying that Cam Ward is Tom Brady. I'm just talking about the same usage, you know? And so when you look at it, this is something that's perfect for Cam, right? And you look at the second year Drake May and that Josh McDaniels offense. Now, we know that, you know, Brian Daboll is not Josh McDaniels. We know that. But play calling is similar, again, to RPOs. But the other guy, and what I've heard is it's not as much of a slam dunk as Diana said. He's one of the guys.
But it's not just if he doesn't get the Bills job, he's immediately here.
Because
gotcha.
Cliff Kingsbury is in the mix.
Oh, wow.
I understand. So that's just what I've heard. We'll see what happens. I'm not saying it's definitely A or B. I'm just saying these guys are very, very highly coveted by Saleh and what he's going to do. So
well, and I know that coordinator positions, the Rooney Rule is still in effect. You have to interview 2 minority applicants in person or virtual, I believe, for coordinators. It just has to be 2. But does that change if you interviewed the candidate for your head coaching position? Like,
I don't know.
Because they interviewed Daboll, could they just say, well, we interviewed him for head coach, but we thought he's better as a coordinator, so we can just hire him? I don't know the rules on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. But you know what? Another shout out to Mike Paganzi and the committee and Robert Saleh. He's the first minority coach in the Titans and Titans and Oilers
wow.
history.
Yeah,
so,
I guess that's true.
That. Yeah.
I didn't realize
He's
that.
Lebanese, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, the Niners don't get a pick for this one, right? Because I think you have to they have to be on your staff for 2 years or something like that.
2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years before they get to pick. But still, great to see Robert Saleh come in. I think, you know, obviously there are no perfect hires out there. You're going to be able to find red flags with everybody. But I do think that is what the Titans needed at this point. With Brian Daboll, it does seem like he is one of the favorites to be the OC. It's a guy who did want to trade up and take Cam Ward last year. So we had the conversation around Kevin Stefanski when he was in the mix for the head coaching job of, hey, he wanted to draft Cam Ward last year. So at the very least, I think you know that Brian Daboll would want to work with Cam Ward. And I think it may be even more telling that he's in the mix for the Eagles offensive coordinator job as well. He's interviewed there. And it does seem like he would prioritize the Titans in working with Cam Ward over going to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and that's not because he doesn't like Jalen Hurts, but, I mean, you get a chance to work with a young quarterback And I think that's really good. And also the offensive line is pretty much in place. Now, obviously, the Eagles' O-line is, but it's just we know that Dable really likes Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And that's really what it boils down to. And that's why he would come. Dable is a guy who I think with 1 year's success, he's gone. And so that's why I think that succession plan, I really would love to know what the succession plan is.
Right.
For me, and I talked about it on Talking with TD yesterday, I know that Mike Groh, his 1 year is, or was it 2? I think it was 2. I'll just say his time as the Eagles coordinator, OC, it wasn't great, but he's a heck of a receiver coach. So to me, it's like to have that succession plan in place,
Right.
I would do one or two things, right? I would either hire Groh, have him groomed and ready to rock when Dable moves on, or if he could somehow pry Leonard Hankerson from the 49ers, he's their receivers coach.
Gotcha.
So have him as the receiver coach and pass game coordinator. Now Hankerson is he's new to the game. He former Miami Hurricane. Xavier Restrepo actually passed him in career touchdowns.
Yeah.
He was one of the
group,
the last guys that he passed, but he's a receiver coach there. And so you bring him along, pass game coordinator, you know what I mean, and then get him ready. So there are different things that you could do from that side of things. Obviously, you still got Slowick as an option.
I was about
too.
to say, yeah.
And I know they had time together in San Francisco, so that's someone to consider.
Slowick was under Mike McDaniel in Miami, so I guess maybe he would have some options if he wanted to go follow McDaniel to LA. But yeah, I think that would make sense as a succession plan too. Make him the quarterback's coach, and then when Brian Daboll leaves, if Brian Daboll leaves, then he ends up being the guy. But I assume that will be one of the first questions asked to Robert Saleh is, hey, the reporting is that a lot of the reason that you got hired was your detailed plan for Cam Ward and the succession plan. Can you spell that out for us?
Yep.
And so I'm excited to hear from Robert Saleh on that because, as I've said pretty much all year, the number one priority for the Titans is developing Cam Ward. And you did find the culture locker room guy in Saleh, but still, if you're going to hire a head coach, he's got to have a plan for your number one overall pick quarterback.
Yeah.
So,
and as we could talk defense too, because there are some things I think we need to go over, whether you want to do that now or later, but that's something to talk about as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about it throughout the show. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. Again, the Titans are making Robert Saleh their next head coach. Still not official yet. We have not gotten the tweet, but I assume that's coming soon as the Titans iron out the details with Saleh. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. 94.9 The Fan is your home for Vanderbilt women's basketball. Tonight, the Commodores taking on Auburn at Memorial Gym. It is a 6:30 tip-off. I'll have your pregame coverage starting at 6:15. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game.
Volcanoes erupting.
Next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly with you on this Thursday. Parker, 2 for 2. You just know the second the music comes on, TD's going to get going.
Man,
I'm going for 12 for 12 today. That's
there you
what
go.
I'm going for.
All right.
If I get 11,
smooth operator operated correctly. What?
If I get anything less than 12, today's a failure.
This is God right here. Rock him, man. Like one of the best rappers ever. That song right there. I was a little 12-year-old shadow boxing for half an hour to this, man. Like, oh my God.
Parker, he's through 2 innings.
I didn't tell him to play that.
Right.
Either.
That's what I'm saying. Is he's starting to get inside your head, TD.
Man.
A big show today. Again, this is our first TD Thursday since the news that the Titans are going to hire Robert Saleh as the next head coach. And we went through some of the offensive staffing questions of who could be the offensive coordinator. Brian Daboll is the name that's been out there. You mentioned Cliff Kingsbury as another option. But overall, yes, you want Robert Saleh. I think you love that he brings that leader. He's going to stand in front of the room and he's going to command that locker room from day one. But a coach is only as good as his staff, and there's a lot of discussions that need to happen as he fills out that coaching staff.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot, and you look on the defensive side of things. Obviously that's his calling card, that's his baby, so he's going to make sure that that's done correctly too. And when you go back and look at the history, and I pointed this out to you on the break. So Saleh took over 2017 as the defensive coordinator of the 49ers. Now. And Jeffrey Simmons, I don't know. Did you see Jordan Schultz's? Jordan Schultz,
yes,
he did a great job. He got Jeffrey Simmons.
Yep.
And they were talking, and Simmons, you watch the 49, like and you watch Saleh, period. It's all about the front. You know what I mean? He is an expert, a wizard when it comes to the front. Front seven.
Yeah.
Okay, but the back end, that's where I'm not going to say he's bad, but he typically is going to make sure that he has somebody that can hold that thing down, right? And so. 2017, 2018, his DB coach was who?
Jeff Hafley.
See that? So then you look, 2019, he had Tony Oden.
Who is on the Titans staff.
On the Titans staff.
Yeah.
So you have that. And then Oden was with him with the Jets too.
Okay, so that if you're looking for possible holdovers from the last staff, Oden probably towards the top of the list.
Tony Oden is going to be the DB coach.
Okay.
If not DB coach, the assistant DB coach. One of the two. So you have that. From what I understand, Denard Wilson was told that he won't be retained. Okay. I know he was in the mix for a couple jobs, possibly going home to the D.C. area with the Commanders. But then you also have almost did it. Kamal Rocker, my Mets mind. You know what I mean? Tracy Rocker, from what I understand, is not likely to be back either.
Okay.
But I mean, at least Frank Bush there. I don't know what is going to be the outcome for Lo Locust, who, in my opinion, is a very good coach. Also, when you look at Ben Bloom, I'm not sure what they're going to do there. But, I mean, you look at some of the defensive coaches that he's had coaching the linebackers, D'Amico Ryans, Jeff Ulbrich. So it's not like this dude doesn't have – he has somewhat of a tree himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you look at just how things work. So that's something on the defensive side that I think we need to, just kind of consider. And it's going to be cool just seeing this staff come together and just how everything works. I know from talking to Tony Oden this past year and talking to some of the corners, there seemed to be a good synergy there with him working with that group. So that is definitely a positive.
Yeah, that defensive staff, I'm sure they're already working on it because Robert Saleh going to have his hands on a little more there. Mm-hmm. On the offensive side of the staff, are those decisions going to be made more when they get the offensive coordinator? I know Luke Stalker's been talked about as a guy who maybe could come back, but probably more a decision for Brian Daboll, Cliff Kingsbury, whoever it ends up being as the OC.
Yeah, I think that's going to be more along those lines with a blessing from Robert Saleh. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we'll see there. I'm not sure, and then just to kind of get back to the defense. So you got Marquand Manuel, he's a solid secondary coach. That's who was with Saleh. He coached the safeties there with the Jets his first year. Jeff Ulbrich, again, I was his defensive coordinator.
Right.
So there are some different options. Matt Burke actually was his game management guy. So, he's made some good decisions coaching wise, you know what I mean? But obviously the product on the field didn't reflect that for various reasons. And that's why Joe Douglas, Joe Douglas is a great evaluator. He discovered Justin Tucker. He's the one that told the Ravens to draft Joe Flacco. But, it didn't work there. And we'll just have to see how it works here. Hopefully for everyone's sake, because it's always better as a journalist covering a team that's winning, you know what I mean? Because you get more exposure. So hopefully for everyone's sake, this thing goes well.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about the expectations for Saleh coming up in the next segment. But before we move on from the staff, Bones Fossil, are we feeling like he's coming back?
Man, listen. Let me tell you something. You don't bring him back, it's going to be a problem.
Right.
Now, seriously, though, how could you not bring him back when you look at this special teams group was doing things that they hadn't done
in
over a
almost
decade.
15 years.
You know what I mean? So you almost have to bring him back. And I can't see why not.
Right.
You know what I mean? And in fact, like you look at what Simmons said in that Jordan Schultz interview, he was like, he could be a head coach.
Right.
You want somebody that's so as a new coach coming in, I want somebody like he's that guy that he has a connection with everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see him doing practice, wrestling around with Chim DK, then you see him going over, and I'm talking about like team stretch, and you see him talking to Jeffrey Simmons, and then you see him over there with Cedric Gray. Like he's touched everybody on the roster. And I say that to say this. He's the guy that has the tentacles all over the place.
Right.
And so you could shoot your message through him.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And as a new coach and someone, this culture needs to be established and foundation. You do it through a guy like that. You do it through Jeffrey Simmons. You do it through Cam Ward. I mean, it's just the operation, the way it should go.
Right. It does feel valuable to have somebody who, of course, is very good at his job, but also has the respect of that locker room.
Yeah.
And that immediately would give Robert Saleh credibility, I think, if you keep Bones Fossil on staff.
Exactly.
You mentioned Jeffrey Simmons. We've heard a lot from him this week. He was on Busted with the Boys, with Jordan Schultz.
That was a great episode, too.
Yeah.
He dug deep. You know what I mean, about some of the things that he went. Go ahead and check it out. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about
right.
it. Right. It was good.
We're not going to go through everything there, but, Taylor and Will, they do a good job. I mean, as guys who are in the locker room with Jeffrey Simmons, I mean, it literally feels like you're just listening to them have a conversation they would have even if the mics weren't there. I think you got a lot from Jeffrey Simmons about what this team needs. And it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, wink, wink, nod, nod about Robert Saleh possibly being an option as the head coach when they asked him, like, hey, Robert Saleh, like, that could be a good guy. And he was like, I don't know. Maybe that's a good move. And then, of course, later that day after it got released, he was hired. So I think that Saleh is going to be someone who is respected. The questions that I think a lot of people have are, it failed with New York. Why is it going to be better here? And I know you can come up with the reasons of why things went wrong in New York. Never had a good quarterback. Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. Ownership situation. But there are a lot of questions of, hey, he went 20-36. It's not like he was even Mike McDaniel, who was just above 500 during his time as a head coach. Why is it going to be so much better here? He's going to be the one to lead this team back to being a playoff contender.
I think a lot of it is trial and error, frankly. And I mean, look, let me ask you this, right? Do you feel safe driving a Tesla?
I've never driven one.
Or riding in one?
Riding one, yeah. Yeah.
You feel safe,
usually,
right?
yeah.
Well, there was a point in time. I remember being in the Bay Area of that, like 2012, 2013, 14, like that time frame. Those things used to not blow up, but catch fire all the time. The battery used to catch fire all the time. Trial and error. That guy was able to get it right, and now it's one of the most popular cars on the road.
No, it's a good point.
So I say all that to say, failure is okay, but it's only okay if you learn from it.
Right. It's what you do with it.
What you do with it. And I mean, I think in this case, just from what I've seen, Robert Saleh should be able to progress from the failure that he had. And again, I'm not saying like they're going to go out and do what the Patriots did this year, next year. You know what I mean? But I think when you have seen it go wrong, if you're of any quality, you're going to be able to, okay, this is where it went wrong. I got to fix that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got to fix this. And I think that's what we're going to see with this guy as the head coach. Now, was he the one that he was one of the guys that I felt, you know, that I wanted, but you know me, like I wanted Art Smith to get the job. You know what I mean? But still, I think he's the right man for it, and we'll see how this works out.
Yeah, I think Robert Saleh on most people's lists was kind of like, oh, he's like my third or fourth choice, which I feel like that's why it's kind of, in my mind, it's like, yeah, it's a fine hire. Let's see what he does with the staff. Like, offensive coordinator was always going to be important. And right now, Brian Daboll is the presumed name, but we don't know if he's going to get the Bills job. And of course, there are other options out there, including Cliff Kingsbury. 615-737-1025. You touched on it there with what should the expectations be for Robert Saleh moving forward? This is a team that's only won 6 games in the last 2 years. What can they do this year in year 1 under Robert Saleh, and when is a fair time to expect this team to be back in playoff contention? We'll talk about it next. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, finishing up the first hour of the show. Parker, I think you're through the first 3 innings unscathed.
Happens every day.
We are looking at the Titans' decision to hire Robert Saleh. Still haven't announced it, but that is the expectation. We should get that soon. Titans making Robert Saleh their next head coach. Your chance to talk to TD is coming up at the top of the hour, so get your questions in. You can text or call our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. TD, I think the big question around the fan base is, all right, now what? You've got the head coach. You feel like you have the quarterback. You've got all these resources. What should the expectations be for the Titans heading into year 1 of Robert Saleh, a team that's gone 3-14 the last 2 years? You said in the last segment, you can't expect them to be the Patriots, right? And go from bottom of the league to the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl in 1 year. But I think you have to expect some sort of reasonable growth with competent coaching and likely a much better roster given the picks and the cap space that they have heading into this year.
They're in good shape, man. They're in really good shape, but you still got to pick the players right, and I think Borgonzi showed us last year that he has the ability to identify players and things like that. But it's just crazy because when you look at how this whole process works, you could have all the money and have all the picks, but if you don't nail it,
right.
You know what I mean? So I think we look at this free agent group. We talked about some of the guys that they should look at. Breece Hall is a guy, but my thing is this with Breece Hall, because that was a good mention by you. I looked at some of the forecasted contracts, and they're projecting him at like $10 million a year.
Yeah.
So it's like $10 million a year. Just let me keep Pollard at 9. So
really,
I mean, I would take Pollard at 9 over.
I just think Hall, you're getting the newer model, right? Like you get 5 years less tread on those tires, maybe not 5, 4, and
injuries with him. You know what I mean?
No, that is fair.
Now we're talking 5 to 7. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Brian Robinson is a guy I would look at also. So, and again, this is going to depend on the OC. You know what I mean? Because like, if you bring in Arthur Smith, okay, yeah, let's rock. You know what I mean? Tyler Algier at $2 to $5 million a year, and boom. But I think when you look at Dable, you look at Cliff Kingsbury, I think you do have to kind of get away from the workhorse and just go with a committee type of look. And hey, I mean, we'll talk Senior Bowl at some point. There's guys there, and there's guys in this draft class that you could get, and just build a committee of backs to combine with Tajay Spears.
Yeah, and you're going to have plenty of opportunities in the draft to go get guys you feel like can be impact players, but you have all this money. The expectation seems to be they're going to spend it based on, I mean, Adam Schefter, when talking about the Titans' job a couple of weeks ago, was tweeting about they've got the most cap space in the league. I don't think he's putting that out there unless somebody's telling him like, hey, this is something we want to push as something that's attractive about our job. I think they're going to be aggressive. That doesn't mean top of the market guys. I think we might get a large volume of deals for the Titans this year. Wide receiver is an interesting position because I think you expect them to use an early pick on a wide receiver, but you probably need more than that. Alec Pierce seems to be, I mean, I think he might get like 4 years, $100 million plus.
Yeah, they say he's going to be in a $20 million a year range.
I think maybe that would be too steep. But maybe Romeo Dobbs, Jawan Jennings is a guy local to the Middle Tennessee area and played for the 49ers, where Robert Saleh has been for most of his last 10 years. So I wonder if maybe that's a fit.
Yeah, that's a fit. You look at if, let's say, they bring in, Dable, Wan'Dale Robinson is a fit. I think ultimately it's just it's funny how the two things are so related, right? Because I think with Saleh getting the job at number 4, just cancel Carnell Tate, cancel Jordan Tyson. It's going to be one of those 3 or 4. We'll get into that, but I think that being said, you almost have to you got to get somebody that could be your alpha. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, is that cost going to be palatable for what they'll give you, right?
Yeah.
Romeo Dobbs, Wan'Dale Robinson,
right? Because you have to overpay.
Pierce, you're going to have to pay.
Yeah.
Because these guys in a normal market, like those would be, you know what I mean, not as high on the totem pole.
Yeah.
But in this market, those are the top guys. So
Right.
it's like, what do you do? And I wonder, and Charles Barnes, we had him on talking with TD 2 weeks ago. He mentioned Deebo Samuel, if Washington parts with him. Now, look, I know he's not the Deebo Samuel that everybody knows, but that is a guy that could come in and be your alpha in that wide receiver.
Well, right. And you like Chimdike, you like Alec Iamaner, feel like they're pieces moving forward. I do think you need a draft pick and you need a veteran in there. It just depends how much value are you placing on those spots? Do you think that you need a wide receiver at 35? And maybe that's the guy that you think will be your wide receiver 1 down the road. Maybe you feel like you need to go corner more at 35. So maybe you go a little bit bigger in free agency and do go get an Alec Pierce or somebody like that. Those are the questions that Mike Borgonzi and this front office have to be asking, because wide receiver is clearly a spot that you're right. You need an alpha. You need somebody who can be Cam Ward's go-to guy. Do you think it is more valuable to find that guy in free agency or in the draft? And I know we've talked about Calvin Ridley too, of that he's probably gone this year. They're probably going to find a way to get to either cut him, or I doubt there's trade value for him with that contract. Yeah. But it's like, man, you're paying him 23. If you have to pay Romeo Dobbs 18, like, what are you getting? Are you getting an upgrade at that spot rather than just keeping Calvin Ridley?
Right. And that's the thing, because so you save $10 million if you release him. It goes from 23 to 13, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
So you take that 10 million that that 13 that you gotta swallow, and you add that to the 18. Now you're at 31.
Right.
It's $8 million more for. Do you want to do that?
Right.
And obviously, with Dobbs being a younger player, you could stretch it out, and like you could have the average be the air quotes average, and you can have the guarantee be the actual number.
Yeah, right.
It works a little bit differently. So it's really going to depend. It's not just Mike Borgonzi. Vin Marino. You know what I mean? He is a very slept upon part of that front office. And, as long as he's there, that's going to be on him to get those numbers right, and he's a wizard with that too. So we'll see.
Yeah. Titans, I do think they're going to be active in free agency. You saw the depth of this roster just completely fall apart with injuries. And when the trades happened, they need to be able to bring in veteran guys who can help this team. Again, does that mean you're getting 3 or 4 guys who are getting $20 to $25 million a year? No, that's probably not the best way to build a roster, but I think you're going to see a lot of moves from the Titans in free agency. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. It is now your time to talk to TD. If you have questions for Turron Davenport, Titans related, I would assume most of them, but don't have to be. You can get those in now. 615-737-1025. You can text or call. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Hour number 1 in the books. Talk to TD. Coming up next, Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Second hour, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly with you. It is now your time to talk to TD. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. The next 30 minutes are up to you. Get your questions in. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We will get to as many as we can over the next two segments. Let's start by going to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Brad is called in. Brad, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey guys, ATD. Hey,
What's up,
talk about depth and the free agency or the draft next year. Titans, to me, as many injuries at quarterback as there are in the NFL, they've got to come up with a viable backup. I don't know if it's Will Levis is going to come back, or they're going to trade him, or they're going to sign a Geno Smith or something like that. But you can't have like a young guy like that who's athletic and he gets hurt and Brandon Allen comes in the game. The game's over. Let's be honest. That's just not a viable option at this point. Maybe 20 years ago, Charlie Whitehurst with clipboard Charlie on the sidelines worked. Not anymore. There's too many injuries and there's two important positions. So how are you going to address that in free agency or even the draft? What if somebody's available at 4 that's do you take him? I wouldn't mind a competition either with for Ward a little bit to put a little pressure on him. So what's your thought on that, TV? Thanks, man.
Brad, great call, man. I was with you all the way up until you said QB at 4. No, I wouldn't do QB at 4. Maybe later in the draft,
like 5th, 6th round.
Chambliss or somebody, but even he's going to probably go higher than
Jets fans want to take him 2nd overall.
Yeah, never mind.
He's not going to, but that's what they want.
Yeah, listen, this is what I would do, and I'm sorry. It's selfish because I know he's going to make it spicy and a little more entertaining. I don't know if that beat was me or what that was.
I thought it was Brad at first, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'll look into that. But Jameis, man, just sign Jameis Winston. And I think there are multiple reasons why that's good. He is a guy that could come in a pinch, and if you need someone to win a couple games for you, he could do that. But in addition to that, he is someone that could help Cam, right? He's been in those shoes as a number 1 pick.
Right.
He's handled that pressure, not always – the most successfully, but he's handled the pressure. And I think when you look at that, it's a great move free agent wise for them.
Yeah, I like Jameis. I liked him last year. And if Daboll does end up being the guy, right? I mean, Jameis Winston played for Brian Daboll last year. So who knows? Maybe that's a connection. I said to Corey Curtis yesterday, and this is my, again, selfish, hokey bias. I want Tyrod Taylor.
That would be a good one too.
And he signed to play for Robert Saleh at the beginning of the 2024 season. So there is the connection there. Speaking of which, Will Levis, Corey Curtis seems to be on the train of like, just bring him back as the backup. I think that's a distraction. I think, yes, you need to upgrade at backup quarterback. You can't bring Brandon Allen back next year, but it shouldn't be Will Levis, who's the backup to Cam Ward.
Look, here's my deal with that. I think Dante Moore not coming out, it helped and hurt the Titans, right? It helped them. I mean, it hurt them in that obviously, now the Jets may not take a quarterback, whatever. But it also helped them because, Malik Willis could only sign with one team. Kyler Murray could only go one place.
Right.
So when that musical chairs happens and somebody's left without a chair to sit in, that's when you say, hey, listen, I got this quarterback we took in the 2nd round. We traded up to get him, pick number 33. Actually, that was 32 because it was
right, because the Dolphins lost their pick.
He's got a lot of talent.
He threw for 4 touchdowns one time. We'll send you the tape.
Check the internet is out there. What's up with a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick for? You know what I mean? If they could get a 3rd for Will Levis, I think it's probably going to come in more at like a 4th, but still, that's another crack at the apple. And by the way, folks, Jim DK, Alec Eyemaner, Gunnar Helm, 4th round picks.
Yep.
So a 4th round pick is not something you just discard to the top of the trash pile. There is some significance there.
Yeah, and Titans would have another one if Tyler Loop didn't go wide right on that field goal in Pittsburgh. Speaking of Gunnar Helm, Mike from Shelbyville brings up a very interesting point. He says, do we have any shot at Eli Stowers to the Titans, or do you think they wouldn't draft him because of Helm? I think he would be picked in that kind of range that the Titans are picking at the top of the second round. I mean, I can't see them making that pick, but I do think he would be available at that point.
He would be available, but I wouldn't use that pick on a tight end.
Right.
Gunnar Helm is your tight end. Now you had a luxury, and I think it depends on who you bring in as OC. Arthur Smith, you know, we know he loves Jonnu Smith, right? And so you could look at getting Jonnu. You know, if Arthur Smith became the OC, you could look at that and have him like, okay, boom. Now you got a lower cost tight end that has been there and done that, very familiar with your OC, and you got a tight end you could run toss sweep out of the backfield with, which I think that's kind of sexy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you also have a younger version of Jonnu Smith in Chig Okonkwo.
Right.
And to me, you got all this money. Chig is not going to blow the market out. I personally, and he said he would like to be here. Why not sign him? And bring him back. You know what I mean? And that gives you all the options to run 12 personnel. You could put 12 personnel in the huddle and have a receiver look, because we know Chig can go flex. We know Gunnar can flex. So you got a lot of options there. I would just, rather than use the second pick on Eli Stowers, I would just sign Chig.
Yeah, and Ron, we can kind of put your question in here too. He says, is there any possibility we can somehow get Jeremiah Love in the draft, but not with the 4th overall pick? He's not lasting to 35. You don't have the resources to trade up. Running back, tight end, safety, those are luxury picks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I've said it plenty of times, you've got pass rushers, you got wide receivers, you got your quarterback, you got your tackles. You could take a running back in the top 10 and feel good about it because you don't have needs other places at positions of importance. The Titans have holes at wide receiver, holes at edge, holes at cornerback. Like, they need to address those positions where they're most valuable, and that's at the top of their first round.
And those are, if you look at the hierarchy, like, those are 3 of the top 5 positions.
Right.
Like, they're fortunate enough to have a serviceable, slightly above serviceable left tackle. You know what I mean? And Dan Moore, solid at right tackle. But yeah, man, I mean, you look at the hierarchy, quarterback. I go quarterback, pass rusher, left tackle, cornerback,
wide receiver.
receiver.
Right. Those are the 5.
You know what I
and
mean?
You've got you seriously need playmakers at 3 of them.
Bingo. So it's like, yeah, Love is a difference maker, and you know, having a guy like that would be good. But
Jeremiah Love's really, really good.
Yeah.
Caleb Downs might be the best player pound for pound in the draft. You can't take him at 4. I've seen mock drafts with either of those two. I'm like, you can't do it.
You can't do it.
You haven't had an impact. Like, there's been plenty of good pass rushers here. I don't want to look like I'm overlooking,
But you're talking about a game
Landry.
changer.
But you have not had a game changer probably since the Freak. Like, a guy who everybody had to say, we got to stop that guy or he is going to ruin our night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you haven't had a guy where at the beginning of the week, the offensive corner, he bangs the table and he says, that, darn it,
and
we're not going to let so-and-so beat us.
And
you know
guess what? Like, correlation doesn't equal causation, but we talk about it all the time. They haven't picked an edge rusher in the first round since Derek Morgan.
Yeah.
You don't have one of those guys because you haven't picked one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta get one this year.
And Derek Morgan, by the way, I'm gonna go see him after this protocol.
Right? Yeah, in Germantown.
Man, that place, it does the trick, man. I leave there feeling very good.
We will get to more questions on the other side. 615-737-1025. Your chance to talk to TD. If you have any questions, you can text or call. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Also, we are going to get into the Senior Bowl later this hour, too. TD is going to go out to Mobile next week, and we will talk about some of the big-name prospects, maybe some under-the-radar guys the Titans could be looking at. That's all coming up here in hour number 2. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game.
That's why I walk with my head up.
4 for 4, Parker.
A lot of games with colorful names. I'm so and so. I'm this. I'm that. But they all just whacked.
Next man up, 102.5 The
I'm
Game.
Brown from the Boogie Down Productions, of course. Our music be thumping. Yeah, that's a great pool right there. KRS-One, you pulled two of the gods, man. Rakim and KRS-One, good stuff.
4 for 4.
Parker's
got 8 more to go.
Parker's no, only 5 more. Remember, you only get 3 per hour.
Oh, that's right. That's right. My math's a little off.
We're getting to the point where no one talked to Parker between innings.
Yo, that my philosophy, man. That does it right there. Oh man.
Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. It is your chance to talk to TD. And we are getting to your questions on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. I got a couple like this one. This is from 5102. We were talking about free agency and the draft, and he asked, why are we going offensive free agency, defense in the draft? If we have a young developing quarterback, why don't we put young developing pieces around Cam and get the defense with the free agents? He mentions Trey Hendrickson, Khalil Mack, Chase Young. I think it's going to be a mix of both, but I think the pass rushers coming early in the draft.
Well, and you also have a young developing group right now. Chig, Iman, Gunnar Helm with them. You know what I mean? So it's not like you don't have young guys that are there to groom.
Yeah.
And also when you sign a guy, it's not like you're signing a 30-year-old,
Right. Like Alec Pierce is what, 25, 26?
Right. So you're getting a guy that you're going to get the prime years out of him, and you don't have to go through the growing pains that you had to go through last year with Io Manor, you know what I mean, and DK and Gunnar Helm. So I think it's a good mix. And then also, you can't just, hey, we need young guys at offense, so we got to draft. You can't approach it that way. They're not going to approach it that way.
And it does. Best player available comes into it with a weight towards positional value. Like, I think that's the best way to put it is best player available, but that doesn't mean you take Jeremiah Love at number 4. You've got to weight it for what positions do you need to have success at the NFL level, and a lot of that comes edge, tackle. We just went through the top ones. We got some Vandy fans hoping for some Titans connections. Scott asks, would the Titans take Diego Pavia late in the draft?
I mean, they have an abundance of picks on day 3. I don't think they would do that.
I agree.
But, that would definitely bring a little cachet with the local fan base, but I don't think they do that. He's going to be down there at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Drew Fabianich, who we had on talking with TD yesterday, he made a good point. He thinks that Pavia is going to get drafted, and he thinks that it has to go to a team that is willing to kind of mold an offense around him or has one, along the lines of his skill set, like Baltimore. I think that's a team you look at that could be one that drafts him.
Yeah. I like Pavia, and I think somebody's going to take a chance on him. But here, again, it's the Will Levis thing of like Pavia would be a distraction here.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think Cam Ward would be better served with a veteran backup, somebody who's been around the block, who knows what it takes to be a quarterback in this league. Bringing in a rookie to back up Cam Ward, I think it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No.
Justin from Greenbrier says, TD, I know you're a professional, but is it difficult at times to cover a team that you're not necessarily a fan of?
No, I think it's actually better. To be honest with you.
I would agree with you on that.
It's because then you don't have the emotional ties.
Right.
It's like, if they lose, I'm like, oh, well, my check is going to come anyway. Let's go ahead downstairs and we're going to talk to some guys. You know what I mean? That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, for me, it's like it's bittersweet because it's like it is. I have knowledge of the Titans dating back to when I started being a fan because I followed this team my entire life. But also, it is tough to separate the like, hey, you can't be a fan completely while you're talking about them on the radio every day. So, I would agree with you. I think it probably is a little bit easier to do it when you're not a fan of that team.
Yeah.
Let's look through 8576. We were talking about running backs for the Titans. Asked about Price from Notre Dame. Loves backup, who's also in the draft. Maybe that could be an option for the Titans.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is an option.
Right.
A guy that you could combine with Chig and Khalil Mullins. I think that's a viable option. You look at some of the I kind of like Rasul Faison. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
And, I grew up with his dad, but also I think you go back and you watch the Jalen Royals tape at Utah State.
Yeah.
2 years ago, and like this dude stood out. He didn't have as good of a year as he wanted to at South Carolina. That just was a mess, when Sellers got hurt, et cetera, et cetera. But I like him as a guy you could get later. He'll be at the Senior Bowl also.
Yeah, was he being talked about as a day 2 draft pick coming out of Utah State last year until he decided to stay in school. So yeah, maybe that's a guy too. Our friend New York Doug asked this earlier. Must be the new math that somehow magically adding Saleh's 20-36 record to Daboll's 20-40 record is supposed to produce a positive number. It's not as simple as that, right? Brian Daboll is a proven offensive coordinator. And again, it's not guaranteed that he's the guy. I don't think you can hold Daboll's head coaching record against him when he's going to be in a completely different role if he is the OC.
That's a rather elementary way to look at it. I will go next question.
Yeah, New York Doug likes to stir the pot a little bit. Let's see. Ron asks, in your opinion, TD, who do you think is the best OC for the Titans who has not been mentioned yet and could be available to hire?
I like Arthur Smith. I mean,
I would be on board with Arthur Smith as the OC.
Yeah. Now, you saw, because I saw some Titans fans like, oh, man, did you not see that team scoring 30 points a game in 19 and 20?
Yeah.
Like,
this is a Titans franchise that has not had very explosive offenses. And for a year or two there, it looked really good.
Yeah.
It did.
Now, granted, he's not going to have Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown.
Right.
I understand that. But I will say this. Robert Saleh, when he was with the Jets, reached out to Arthur Smith when Arthur Smith was available, and he wanted him to join his staff there with the Jets. So there's a tie.
There's a lot of experienced offensive coordinators out there right now. I mean, we've talked about the names. Daboll, Kingsbury, Smith, all have been head coaches before and had success as offensive coordinators. And I think that's what I'm sure Robert Saleh is looking for in his offensive coordinator. Yes, he has to have the succession plan in case whoever he hires as the OC does get a head coaching job down the road. And maybe that's one of your young up-and-comers who can learn. But I think for Cam Ward and what he needs right now, you need somebody who's done it before. And I think that's why Daboll is being mentioned. What he did with Josh Allen, a guy who had his flaws, wasn't very consistent, wasn't very accurate as a rookie. Daboll was able to get this MVP form that we see out of him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even again, you look at Jackson Dart, and the uses of RPOs. I think that's something there to consider. Why not Matt Nagy? He's another one. Obviously, he didn't call the plays in Kansas City.
Right.
But he would call the plays here. You know what I mean? And then he could also bring in John DeFilippo, who was, the QB coach with the Bears, right? When they got something out of Mitch Trubisky. Not much, but they got something. And then he also, DeFilippo, Coach Flip was the OC in Jacksonville,
right.
When they acquired Nick Foles. So you do have, there's different connections. So you have some experience there. Press Taylor, who was the OC with Jacksonville.
Yeah.
QB coach. He's the one that bought Philly Special to the Eagles. You know what I mean? There's options for sure.
How much do you think the offensive coordinator hire is Robert Saleh's decision versus Mike Borgonzi in the front office? Because there's obviously a vested interest from Mike Borgonzi of who's going to develop the young quarterback. I don't think he's just going to let Saleh say, I don't think he's just handing it over and saying, Saleh, you pick your coaching staff. We don't care. I'm sure there's involvement from both sides when it comes to picking the OC.
Yeah. So I think, Saleh, I think, is going to have that ability to fill his staff. That's what Borgonzi said at the presser.
Yeah.
That he was going to. And look, I mean, at this point, I would probably trust what Borgonzi says because he says specifically he's not going to allow his KC bias to influence the decision.
And he didn't.
Guess what? He didn't hire somebody from the Chiefs. I think that being said, if Borgonzi said he's going to give them the option, Saleh the option, I think Saleh's going to. Now, if Saleh comes in and is like, hey, man, I got my cousin, Ronnie Saleh, you know what I mean? I want to hire him.
He's really good at Madden.
Yeah. I'm sure that would be vetoed, but I think there's a mutual understanding like, hey, you know what's best for this roster. We trust the way you've analyzed this. Boom.
You do you. Will approve if necessary, but we're not going to, put our hands in too many different places. Last one here for Talk to TD. Stephen from Hendersonville with a good question, because we're talking about the Titans draft and, possible pass rusher at 4, maybe a wide receiver at 35. He asks, TD, why was A.J. Brown not a first rounder? And is there a wide receiver in this draft that you feel could be a similar situation of a guy who gets to the second round?
Great question. A.J. Brown wasn't a first-round receiver because there was a perception that he was slot only, even though he proved that he could play both.
Yep.
But he played predominantly in the slot that final year he came out. Also, I remember asking him about it at the combine, and boy, he gritted his teeth, and he had some issues with the opinion that people had of him being slow.
Yeah.
And he went out and ran a 4.49, 4.5, whatever. So you have that. Now, you look at a guy, and again, I'm not saying he's A.J. Brown. Just chill out. What I am saying is there's a similar skill set, sturdiness. Jeremy Bernard.
I knew where you were going.
You knew, right? Jeremy Bernard, I think, is the guy that in the second round right there. I think he would be a solid pick. He's sturdy. He's consistent, more consistent than Ryan Williams. They had another receiver, number 1, I forget his name, at Alabama, who was good too. But Jeremy Bernard, to me, was their best guy.
Yep.
Most consistent.
Yep. And I think that's why you feel better picking wide receiver in the second round than taking a Carnell Tate or a Jordan Tyson and trying to get an edge rusher. Wide receivers can kind of fall anywhere first, second round, and you can still find that best guy that can be your number 1. Those elite pass rushers only come at the top.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It is funny looking back at that 2019 draft and the receivers who went early. Hollywood Brown was a first-round pick. N'Keal Harry was a first-round pick. And then later on in the draft, you got Debo, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, all went on day 2. It's just that's how it works out sometimes.
A.J. told me when N'Keal Harry got picked, he said he went in his closet. He's at the party. Jalen Hurts is there. He's at the draft party. He said he went in the closet and cried.
Yeah.
And then he called DK, and they were on the phone crying together. Can't say it doesn't mean a lot to these guys.
You know who my favorite wide receiver in that draft was?
Who's that?
I have draft crushes, and sometimes they work out and they're good. The guy I loved out of that draft class was J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I thought he was going to be a stud out of Stanford.
Grabbed him and hated that dude. I didn't really like him.
Man. He was big and fast and like 50-50 balls were 70-30 balls for him. I thought there was so much potential. Glad that John Robinson made that pick and not me and took A.J. Brown, because I would have been running that JJAW card to the front of the line. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. Our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Great stuff on Talk to TD. But when we come back, this is a conversation I've been looking forward to having with TD about the Senior Bowl, because you see a lot of prospects, almost I'm going to say like most prospects that go on day 2 went to the Senior Bowl, or the steals of the draft. They go to the Senior Bowl. It's coming up next week. TD is going to be down there. Let's talk about some of the big names. 2 of the strong possibilities to go at number 4 are going to be at the Senior Bowl. Also, maybe some dark horses for the Titans as well. We'll get into all of it coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025, the game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly with you. Big thanks to everyone who participated and talked to TD in the last couple segments. Excited to get into some Senior Bowl talk here. Senior Bowl coming up in Mobile next week. TD will be boots on the ground down there, getting some great, I always love the practice footage of the one-on-ones and all that you get down there.
Mhm.
And for Titans fans, there's even more excitement because I would say the two most likely guys the Titans take at number 4 are both going to be there. Reuben Bain, David Bailey.
Yeah.
There are other names that could be there, but those are the two that I think stand out the most. And I'm excited to see what those guys look like. I don't know if they're going to measure, but maybe we get a Reuben Bain arm measurement too down there in Mobile.
If I'm him, I'll go ahead and get ahead of it. You
Right.
know what I mean?
You control the narrative at that point.
And it's I'm from here. Like, look, man, measure my arms.
And then I'm going to go dominate all of the tackles out there.
Watch the way I dominate. You know what I mean? And one of the things you got to also remember is he's a guy you're going to use him inside at times too. You know what I mean? And then also, like I said with Drew Fabianich when we talked about who loves him, he's a big Reuben Bain guy. He actually recruited Reuben Bain when he was at Auburn.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And he's a big Reuben Bain guy. And what I told him, and I asked him, if he felt the same way, I'm like, hey, when you're coming off the edge and you long arm, you know what I mean? That 32-inch arm, if you're shooting just one arm, it becomes 35, 36. You know what I mean? Because you're just shooting the one.
Right.
And so I think that's an advantage for him, right? And especially if you look at how Saleh has used guys, they tend to, they'll go wide nine. Sometimes you saw Nick Bosa line up in the daggone basically as a nickel corner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's done that. And you look at what he did. Who was the guy they drafted last year that they used? His name's going to come to me. I forget his name. But they drafted him high. It was
it's the Walker.
Walker.
From Georgia.
Yeah, out of Georgia. Yep. He was hurt a lot his last year at Georgia. But anyway, you look at the way they've used him, like that's an advantage. So there are guys, David Bailey, you know what I mean, is a guy that, I mean, like he's just raw dog. Like he goes out there, no swag. He wears number 31.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But he's someone that's going to set the edge. He's someone that is a very good pass rusher. You got him. Can't forget Akeem Isidore. You know what I mean? He's another, or Mesidor, excuse me. You look at he and Reuben Bain. Like, it's very evident that those guys are well coached, right?
Yeah.
Naturally, Jason Taylor, a Hall of Famer, is their coach. But you watch their swipes and how they use their hands and things like that. You could tell they're advanced. Like, they're not your standard edge rusher coming out of college.
I watched almost all of the 4 Miami playoff games. I didn't get to watch all of the Texas A&M one, but I watched most of them. And Reuben Bain he dominated everybody who lined up in front of him. Mm-hmm. And I get the arm length thing. If he's there at number 4, I would have no problem with the Titans taking him.
And especially in this scheme.
Right. In the 4-3, I think he fits better. I mean, you said you think Femi is good, put his hand in the dirt. Next year, front 4 in your base package of Femi, Jeff, Sweat, Bain, I feel pretty good about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you've got rotational guys like a Jalen Harrell or Jihad Ward, that's a pretty good group up front that you really probably don't need to invest too much more in this offseason.
Yeah, and I think, if you look at this, I'm looking at Mel Kiper's draft rankings, right? Reuben Bain is the number 1 defensive end. His second one is Akeem Mesidor. Now, Reese and Bailey, he has outside linebackers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then you look at some of the other guys. LT Overton is gonna be there. I thought there was another guy, but LT Overton is another, like, later rotational.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something that you could look at. I mean, this pass rush group is going to be fun to watch.
I'm thinking Arvell Reese doesn't make it to the Titans just based on what we've seen. And again, it's still early. We have no idea, but those guys with the traits and the Micah Parsons comparisons, I think they're going to have him rise. I think he ends up going to the Jets at 2 if they don't go quarterback. So that I think Cardinals maybe go tackle I don't know what I know they got Paris Johnson a couple of years ago. I don't know what their other tackle situation looks like. So you could be left on the board with your choice of Bain or Bailey. And I think at that point, it just becomes, who does Robert Saleh feel fits better into what he does?
Yeah, it really will. I would say he would probably, I don't know. That's a good conversation to have.
And it's we're going to have these conversations for 3 months of who the Titans are going to pick at number 4. But the more I've seen from this pass rush group, the better I feel about taking one of those guys. And Ruben Bain is, I think, my favorite one. This week is going to be important, I think, for him and Bailey coming up at the Senior Bowl, because major. I mean, it's those two guys. Do they do like the reps in alphabetical order like they do at the combine?
No, they just kind of group. I don't think.
I was gonna say it would be funny if like they were going back to back on everything, and you just get one after the other. I mean, Bain, Bailey.
Yeah,
I doubt anybody's falling in between there.
They may be on. So Bailey is on the national team. I don't know that they released which team Bain is,
because Bain just committed to do it this past week, right?
Yeah, apparently they had committed before, but
they didn't announce it.
He didn't want to announce it.
Right.
A lot of focus to be on it, because D'Angelo Pons and Kavion Black,
right?
You know, those guys also, you know, were announced. Zion Young is another one from Missouri to watch, but again, like, we're not talking about top pick wise. But, Bain is not
listed yet.
He's not listed on the American team. That would be pretty dope if they put him on the national team.
Yeah,
you got to see them go against the same guy,
right?
You know what I mean?
And give yourself a nice little comparison. Not that this is everything. The tape is still the most important thing for those guys, and both of them have very good tape. But it's going to be an interesting week. And again, Turron Davenport will be on the ground. You can watch those practices, I believe, on the NFL Network, so you can see up close and personal some of the guys who might be at the top.
TJ Parker, also out of Illinois, is going to be there. So.
Clemson, right?
Clemson.
Yeah.
I did that.
The orange. Thing again. I've done that plenty of times.
Number 3. Yep.
Those are the two guys at the top, but that's not mainly what the Senior Bowl is known for. You're usually the top guys are the top guys.
Mm-hmm. It's
known for finding your guys you're going to pick on day 2 and day 3. Who could the Titans be looking at that's going to be out there? We'll talk about that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We will also get to your phones. Jake Lyman, Turron Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Parker got it on this one.
Yeah, that's MC Light right there.
Next man up, 102.5 The Game. We have fun on these TD Thursdays.
Yeah.
Parker,
that's what you got to go for.
And I got to give Parker credit. He never repeats with you either. Like, it's a new song every single time.
Oh, why is it daddy? Yo, this was a song, right? This song was so back in the late 80s, there were like a lot of shootings and murders and stuff. And they came together, KRS-One, MC Light, Stethosonic, Big Daddy Kane, a whole group. They came together and they made this album. This is the rap version. I don't know, you ever heard of We Are the World?
Yeah.
This is the rap version of that.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That was a good pull. Like, Parker is in his bag. And
the only time I'll repeat is Dreams and Nightmares.
Right. Yeah. That's
the
true.
only
time. He gets a couple there,
Keisha Cole.
And Keisha Cole. But those are the only two exceptions.
I was in the gym. Tara's training over there in Antioch. My girl, this is her logo right here. I was in the gym, and she was putting me through a workout. You know what came on, Parker?
What came on?
Keisha Cole. I was like,
oh no, the worst place.
I was like, hey, listen, hall pass. But no, great job with that. And the PE one, Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos from the Fear of a Black Planet album in 1989 was a great pull also, man.
Yeah. Man, Parker is 6 for 6. Are we feeling good about that?
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt.
He's got 1 hour left to go. We're talking Senior Bowl here coming up next week in Mobile. Lots of big name prospects going to be participating. We went through Reuben Bay and David Bailey. Those are the two guys who you think the Titans could consider at number 4. But there's a lot of other guys who are going to be in consideration at the top of the second round, third round, into day 3 that could be participating this week at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, cornerback is a position that we know that it's an area of need.
Yeah.
Colton Hood, he's going to be there now. He's a big corner, moves well.
Yep.
I think he's going to run well from what I understand. We'll see, but he's a guy. But I'm going to tell you the sleeper. And after this week of Senior Bowl practices, he's going to have a Quinyon Mitchell type of rise.
Okay.
All
yeah.
Right? Chris Johnson out of San Diego State.
All right.
4 picks this year. He's 6 feet, 185, so solid size. He's gonna eat in those one-on-ones. I can't wait to watch him. But that's a guy at 35 if he's there. Yeah, you definitely want to consider it. I've seen some people with first-round grades on him, so we'll see there. So that's an option. Akeem Mesidor, we talked about him, but one of the other guys, Jacoby Lane. You know, everybody talks about Mekhi Lemon, rightfully so, one of the best receivers, but you want that guy, that alley-oop type. He's a guy to look at. I've seen Martavius Bryant comps, if you remember the Clemson receiver.
Yeah.
You know,
Pittsburgh.
the one to Pittsburgh. Yeah. So you do have that. I'm curious how another guy, Ted Hurst, out of SMU,
out of
Georgia State.
Georgia
State. Yeah. He's another. So there's some prospects. You know, Ted Hurst got some size.
Yes,
too.
he does.
You know what I mean? So I want to see. I like when guys from smaller schools like Georgia, like it's accurate to call Georgia State a smaller school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't necessarily call SMU a
out of the
school.
Sun Belt. Yeah, SMU's an ACC school now, but Sun Belt schools.
Right.
I mean, even
Missouri
San Diego
Valley,
State, like Mountain West.
Yeah. I want to see how he levels up. Right. I want to see him go against the Colton Hoods, the Chris Johnson, the Keontae Scotts. How do you hold up against those guys? So those are a few names. I mean, I got a whole bunch right on here. You talk about the safety position. Genesis Smith, you know, out of Arizona is one to look at. We talked about TJ Parker. You asked about
picks of I mean, he's got lots of tools. I would compare maybe to Jalen Milroe last year got the arm, got the speed. Can you mold the rest of it?
It just didn't all quite come together.
Right.
Couple names here for you. Casey Concepcion.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Out of A&M. Yeah.
There you go. You want some I think this guy is very similar to Io Manor, Elijah Surratt. So he's a name to watch, right? But I don't necessarily know that he's someone that would fit. That would, I think, you're kind of duplicating what you have already. But man, you talk about back shoulder catches, like that dude, Mendoza, hey, look, throw it at the back of my helmet. I'm gonna get it for
Indiana,
you. That's how it is.
They love those back shoulders. Charlie Becker, Nashville kid, was making some crazy adjustments on the ball.
That kid is nice. And number 3, I've always liked number 3. I could never get his name, but I remember we were talking about the Indiana receivers a couple months ago, and I was telling Easton Freeze, I was like, hey man, I really like number 3, man. And I never could remember his name, but he's solid too.
Omar
Cooper Jr.
Yeah, he's solid, man.
Speaking of Indiana, you mentioned his name, D'Angelo Ponce. That dude made himself some money on Monday night.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's feisty. You know
right.
what I mean? It's just okay. Is he going to be able to survive outside at 5'9"?
Right.
If I'm the Titans, I don't necessarily look at that. Although I will say, with Saleh as the DC, they drafted Upton Stout out of Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
I was actually, funny story, my flight to the Senior Bowl, the guy who sat next to me was his uncle. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? That's your nephew? Hey, listen, I love corners. I like to fight that are feisty.
Yeah.
That's him. And he was like, yeah, man, like, but I say all that to say he's an undersized guy.
Right.
That they drafted, and he stepped in at the nickel role and played it extremely well. I wonder if, Saleh sees some of the Upton Stout and D'Angelo Ponce actually even higher. But then if you do that, does that push, Marcus Harris outside, or what do you do there? I think Harris is a solid nickel.
Right. Kind of the same thing you mentioned with Surratt and Iamaner. It's you need outside guys. Are you duplicating a little bit if you take Ponds?
Yeah.
615-737-1025. Let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Matt has called in. Matt, thanks for calling. What you got?
Hey, fellas. Can y'all hear me?
Got you, Matt.
Yep.
What's up, brother?
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, man? I always love Thursdays to get TD on with the music and the knowledge. Hey, let me tell you, that guy Parker's been here before. You pulled out self-destruction.
You know what I'm saying? You feel me?
Come on. That I'm 55 years old. Yeah, I remember when it came out on wax. So,
man.
But a couple of players for you to watch when you get down there. You got Harrison Wallace out of Ole Miss. I think that guy is undervalued.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna put some shine on himself. And Nashville's own, straight out of Pearl Cone.
Say it, Double B.
Barryon Brown.
That's right.
Tell you,
that's right.
That guy is going to get down there, and he's going to light it up. Mark my words. Somebody's going to go ahead.
Hey, Matt, you got gray in your beard, so you remember this playing Madden back in the day, right? And what did they say when you hit a long touchdown with a fast guy? What did Pat Summerall say? Speed kills.
Speed kills, yeah.
That's what Barry Brown brings in spades, man.
Man, I know, he was at Kentucky, and then he went to LSU, thought they were going to, but Newsmine was terrible, which I told everybody when he went there. So, you watch out for him when you get down there, man. And also, the guy you were thinking about, Isaiah Horton, he actually transferred from Miami. That's the guy you were thinking about at Alabama, number 1.
Yeah, there it is, right there. Yeah, good one on that. Yeah, Isaiah, he's long, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's funny. Yeah. I just showed Jake my sheet, and Barry Brown is
sir, in a little box there.
In a box right above Colton Hood. Yeah, we're on the same page.
Oh, okay. I just want to mention. I said, man, if he don't say Barryard, he ain't doing his due diligence.
Hey, no, it was coming. It was coming. Okay. we had to take your call first, brother.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm good.
All right, fam.
Thanks for the call, Matt.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, Barry Brown, Kentucky, LSU, lots of speed there. And again, Nashville kid, maybe that. I mean, I would like it. It's a guy who brings something different. I know Chim's got the speed, but it's kind of a different type of speed that you're getting with Barry Brown.
Mm-hmm. It's he's one of those guys. And you look at Zach Branch too.
Yeah,
I have them in the
Georgia
same
USC.
Yeah, Zach Branch, Barry Brown, KC Conception. I got them in the same bucket. You know what I mean? The guys where it's just like, hey man, just go make a play for me.
Right.
Do something. You know what I mean? That's how you operate with them.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. 2 hours down. We've still got one more hour with TD. We're going to look around the league a little bit as the rest of the coaching market begins to fall. Titans have a vested interest in some of these jobs in terms of filling out their staff. We will also get back to Robert Saleh, his plan for Cam Ward, and any of your Text or call 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Hour number 3 coming up. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 125 the game. Final hour on this TD Thursday. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Been a fun show so far, talking Robert Saleh being hired as the new Titans head coach, the Senior Bowl coming up next week. And before we get into some other stuff, TD, I did want to ask you, I know a lot was made right when Brian Callahan was hired about, are they going to go down to the Senior Bowl? Do you expect to see Mike Borgonzi and the staff down there in Mobile next week?
I'll be surprised if they do.
Okay.
I'll be surprised. But a lot of it, is going to stem around decisions they make adding to the staff.
Right.
So here's a good nugget, right? So usually at the Senior Bowl, the way it used to be is they would have player meetings with personnel folks at night.
Okay.
Drew, because I asked Drew, I'm like, hey, man, what are you going to do with the Senior Bowl now? Like, how can you raise it?
Right.
And he said, well, one of the things that he wants to do, in addition to expanding sponsorship to nationally, because they are sponsored by Panini now.
Not
Reese's
Reese's.
is no longer.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the Panini Senior Bowl. But he said that he's going to move the meetings to the morning.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Because the practices is like 1:30 and 4:30, I believe it is. 1:30 and 4, something like that for the practices, right? And so in the morning, that's when they're going to have the meetings. So what does that do? That frees up the evening, and now it just becomes like a coaches convention, as he called it.
Oh.
So it would be good for the, Saleh to be there, because it's like, hey, man, like you're in the process of, you get to sit right in front of them. Hey, man, let's have a beer or whatever and talk about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that is something that I think would bring value to it. But
yeah.
I'll be surprised if they beat.
Yeah,
I'll say it like that.
As they're working through the staff, I'm sure there's a lot going on, and that was
Yeah.
the same thing with Callahan when he didn't go out right after he was hired. They got a lot of work to do. So, but we will see if they end up down there in Mobile next week. Speaking of the coaching market, still 6 openings around the NFL, and the Titans were able to make their move after dominoes kept on falling. The first 3 head coaches were all scheduled to visit with the Titans the day after they agreed to terms with the team they eventually went to. So the Titans made their move. They got Robert Saleh. You've got 6 more jobs out there. How do we think this all sorts itself out? Because there's a lot of names. There's the 3 that have been there for a while now: Vegas, Cleveland, Arizona. And I haven't really heard a ton about any of them in terms of who might be the front runner for those jobs.
Yeah, that's really what so much of filling the staff depends upon, right? Brian Daboll,
right?
You know what I
mean? With the Bills,
I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is going to get much head coaching consideration. So
yeah,
I think that there's a runway there. But I mean, you look at, I don't know, man. Like, where does Sean McDermott fall in all of this?
Right.
You know what I mean?
That was the one wrench that kind of got thrown into everything. Titans were interviewing their finalists on Monday, and then another candidate just gets lobbed into the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Sean McDermott, I think, would have been a great hire for this team. But do you risk losing the guy that you're ready to hire now for the outside chance that Sean McDermott wants to come here?
And that's what I posted. And a lot of people were like, hey, listen, man, like if you're convinced that a guy is your guy, you got to go with it. You know what I mean? And I don't know what Saleh did in those 5 hours, but
everybody left that building seemingly convinced that he was the guy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So look, whatever happened there, it was, he sold it. But I mean, the Raiders job, with McDermott getting fired, you got Joe Brady, right?
Right.
You talk about guys that haven't been mentioned that you might want to look at as OC. Joe Brady is
right.
what I would consider.
Right. If he doesn't if he doesn't get the head job in Buffalo, I doubt he's going to just be like, yeah, I'm going to go back and be the OC again.
You know what I'm saying? And in Buffalo, right? No, it's really intriguing how this all could fall out. I don't know what the Raiders are going to do. I don't know. I don't have a clue.
What I'm wondering is, since there really hasn't been a whole lot of smoke around those jobs lately of like, oh, this is the guy at the top of the list, are they waiting for some of these playoff coaches to be done? Like Chris Shula, is that or Clint Kubiak? Like, Vance Joseph. Like, are those the names that they're like, hey, we need to get this guy in the building, and we just haven't been able to yet?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. You talk about Kubiak's Clint's brother, with the 49ers.
Right. That's another possibility for the Titans too.
It's really a game of magical chairs. There's what 6 jobs remaining.
There's 6 jobs open, and they're kind of in 2 different tiers. It's like
Ravens, Steelers.
You've got Ravens, Steelers, Bills that are like that. Those are the 3 that have the long-term coach, and the Tomlin situation is different, but like are trying to do better. They want to get back to being in Super Bowl contention. And then you've got Vegas, Cleveland, Miami, Vegas, Cleveland, Arizona, that are kind of just like, I think those were maybe the least attractive jobs out there.
I don't want to go to Arizona. I think now
Vegas is the one that I think you could say, all right, that's an attractive job. First overall pick, 100 million cap space, Tom Brady. But yeah, Cleveland and Arizona, I think it's less that they don't have a guy. It's that no one wants to come and be their guy.
Look, man, and Saleh was supposed to go to Arizona on Tuesday.
Right.
Now, I'm not making any report, okay? This is just my opinion. Understand that. I think he 100% wanted this job over Arizona.
Yeah, and that's the reporting that has come out. I believe Diana Rossini has said that from the start, he wanted to be in Tennessee.
Yeah.
That this was his number 1 job. Very similar to what's been happening with the Titans of like, hey, you set that second interview for the next day, and it puts the pressure on that team to not let you out of the building.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened with the Titans there, too.
And in addition to that, what I'm seeing there, him having so much time in the NFC West, that's a dogfight.
Right. Does he want to turn around and face
think about this.
Seattle, LA, and
the
San Francisco?
Rams and Seahawks are, you know what I mean?
3 of the final 4 teams in the NFC were the 3 teams he'd be facing every single year twice.
So it's like, yeah, probably, and the quarterback situation, right? Kyler Murray is probably gone. Now, the one thing that I do like about Arizona, you're getting to work with Monty Ossenfort, who is awesome as a GM. You know what I mean? Really good talent evaluator, but I wouldn't want to face those teams.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot that's attractive about that job. There are a couple of good young pieces there.
Marvin Harrison.
Yeah. Michael Wilson finished the season really strong. Trey McBride's a good player, but you don't have a quarterback. You're playing in a really tough division, and I just don't know what would attract you out there. And the same thing could really be said for Cleveland of, yeah, sure, there's a couple of things that you like about that job, but it doesn't stack up with the other ones out there. I know Jim Schwartz has gotten 2 interviews with Cleveland. Does it make sense for them to just kind of stick with the guy who was already on staff?
I probably would just do that.
I know, is it Udinsky from Jacksonville?
Yeah.
He's gotten a couple interviews with Cleveland.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's all really interesting. And then you flip over to that other tier of the 3 teams that just lost or got rid of Tomlin, Harbaugh, McDermott. Daboll is the one that everybody's looking at because the report is Daboll, very good chance he's the OC here if he's not the head coach in Buffalo. Why would he make sense in Buffalo? Is it just he got a lot out of Josh Allen when he was here. Let's bring him back. Is that it?
Thing. I think that's, well, I mean, not only that, like he's familiar with the team, with the organization.
Yeah.
So, and they're familiar with him. So it's like,
I guess
Matt Nagy,
it's like it's the
hired,
Arthur Smith like hire for the Titans of like he's been in the building. He was really good when he was here. Let's see if it works again.
Yeah. And you mentioned my guy. Like I wonder if he gets any. Hey, I haven't seen him with
Arthur.
Any,
I haven't seen a ton there. Maybe did Arizona request to interview him? They might have.
I don't know.
The one name I have seen that's been pretty closely tied is Baltimore. Jesse Minter. I think that one seems.
Can't forget about Flores. Oh, he got the offer.
Yeah,
if he doesn't get the head coaching job.
We've got a lot of those going on right now. Mike McDaniel, he's the OC with the Chargers if he's not a head coach somewhere else. Brian Flores just signed a contract extension if he's not the head coach somewhere else. And I don't think it's quite as set in stone with Daboll, but that seems to be the expectation with Tennessee.
Vance Joseph too. I think so. The Broncos being in their situation, it really helps the Titans because I would imagine Vance Joseph, Cliff Kingsbury, that would kind of be – so it gives Robert Saleh a little more time to filter through and figure out – because, again, Kingsbury is a guy I think that will I've been told is going to be very highly considered. So we'll see. But
was there a reason he didn't get a head coaching interview here, even though that was like widely reported that the Titans and him were going to have an interview, and then it just never happened?
I thought it was requested, but it just kind of died down. So I don't know.
Right, because the report came, they requested it before he parted ways with the Commanders, because obviously you didn't have to request it anymore once he wasn't employed. But yeah, they reported all the interviews, all 16 of them, and Cliff Kingsbury's name never made the list. So it'd be interesting if maybe they said, hey, you're not going to be our head coach, but we want to talk to you once we figure out who our head coach is. So that could end up happening in the next couple of days. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. The coaching shuffle still going on, and it's only going to get more hectic as these head coaching jobs continue to be filled as these guys try and fill out their new staff. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We will continue this conversation on the other side and get more into Robert Saleh, the plan for Cam Ward. Everyone's job in that building revolves around number one. Is he going to be the guy? Robert Saleh's plan for him. I'm really excited to hear. We'll get into all that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up. 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly.
He went way back with that special. Yo,
he's through 7.
Woo! So this is more of like a vibe song.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But yeah, this was a good track.
Yeah, well,
this was early 80s, if I'm not mistaken. That was Parker. Was that 80, 85?
1980.
Wow.
1980. Yeah.
There you go.
I was 4 years old, but I remember this, man. There were so many. Music has been a part of my life, my whole life, man, and I love music.
I'm telling you, I learn a lot every time you're in here because, of course, I was not born when some of these songs came out. So, I learned a lot about music with TD. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Josh is called in. Josh, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. Nashville native now. I'm a Nashville transplant. Grew up in Buffalo, New York. So little change of programming here for you. I'm sure it's been a lot of Robert Saleh talk, but kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on something with the Bills, but also, does involve the Titans. And first and foremost, hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I'm hearing reports that Brian Daboll is expected to land in Tennessee as the offensive coordinator if he cannot secure the Bills head coach job. Diana Rossini is reporting this.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And to me, that's just a mind-numbing statement to me to just even hear that, if Brian Daboll doesn't land the most coveted head coach position out there right now, like probably the best head coach job you could go out and hire for, he's going to get the Titans offensive coordinator job. And I don't mean that as a slant on the Titans, but how are we this is more for the Bills and for Terry Pegula. How are we looking at a guy that's going up, he's going to be the Titans offensive coordinator, not even their head coach, or he's going to be your head coach. To me, it's just crazy. It never should have fired McDermott. We're taking a step back. It's just crazy to me. We're making a lateral move, and so interested to hear you guys' thoughts, kind of on the Tennessee spin of that.
Yeah, I got you. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. I got a question for you. You still there?
Let's hear it.
Okay.
I'm here.
Anchor bar, bill, or Duff's?
Okay, so if you go to Buffalo, never, and I mean never, go to the Anchor Bar. Ever.
I'm with you on. I made that mistake, bro.
That is incorrect.
I made that mistake.
The national media likes to talk about the Anchor Bar. The correct answer is Bar Bill. Duff's is a good second, but absolutely Bar Bill. And go to the East Aurora location and bring your cash, because it's cash only and no reservation.
I went to Duff's, and Duff's was good, but Anchor Bar, to your point.
Is Anchor Bar like the Hattie B's of wings, Josh?
I would say
now.
So.
Wait a minute.
I like Hattie B's. Hattie B's is good, but like it's the touristy one rather than it is like the actual original one.
Hattie B's is my favorite chicken place.
Really, more than
now? That's your last free shout out, Hattie B's. That's your last free shout out. Look, I got red on too.
Sponsor the show.
You know what I'm saying?
Bar Bill and get them to buy a little bit of time.
There we
go.
Thanks for the call, Josh.
Appreciate the call, Josh. Now to answer the question, here's the thing. From what I understand, there's more beneath the surface than what has been revealed with McDermott.
Really? Terry Pegula didn't reveal everything yesterday.
He revealed most. You saw what he said, though? Did you see what he said to Bean? Like, hey, man, like, why you keep taking the hot? Like, he hasn't defended himself the way he should. Like, a lot of these a lot of stuff, it wasn't all on Bean.
Well, have you seen the receipts that have been pulled out on the Keon Coleman stuff? That hey, don't go after Brandon Bean for the Keon Coleman pick. He was held hostage and did not want to pick him. Yeah. And then they're going back through these videos, and it's like, man, Keon Coleman ran a 4.57. That'll help us get him at the top of the second round. That's Brandon Bean saying that. And then in the draft room saying, Keon's got to be the pick here, right? We're going to take Keon Coleman. We don't know what went on outside of those conversations. Maybe it was McDermott pushing for him, but it is funny.
Yeah.
I agree with Josh on that. They shouldn't have fired McDermott.
No, I don't think they should have. I understand the frustration. There's no Lamar. There's no Joe Burrow. There's no Patrick Mahomes. You're still on the right track.
Right.
But I think, and someone has said this, and they're very correct. it's very similar to back when Andy Reid got fired. But now, of course, they weren't on the cusp of the NFC championship game, but it kind of ran its course and it kept hitting the ceiling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it just kind of was what it was. And I think that's what they're looking at here. But I mean, it's just like, who do you bring in?
Right. It's the Bills as a franchise should know you can do a whole lot worse than Sean McDermott. And the grass isn't always greener. And I agree with Josh on the fact that, yeah, if Brian Daboll is not really being considered for any other head coaching job, why is he being considered for that one? And we talked about it probably just because of the familiarity with Josh Allen of, hey, Josh Allen played really well and he developed him. He's familiar with the franchise. Let's bring him back. That's not a reason to fire your old head coach and hire this guy. I like Daboll as the Titans offensive coordinator, but I think that would be a step backwards if the Bills were to fire McDermott to hire Daboll.
Yeah, no, I agree. It would be a step backwards, but I mean, it's just the way it works. Like sometimes you have the ties, and I think, you know, his ties to the organization and their quote unquote glory days. I think it's kind of, it makes it a one that you got to look at. I mean, you got it. Who else do you consider?
I think if you, for those three jobs that we mentioned of they're trying to upgrade, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Buffalo, you go young. You go with the up-and-comer. That's what the Titans did after Vrabel. And yes, it blew up in their face with Brian Callahan. But that's what you do. When you're looking for high ceiling, you go after the young guys who you don't know what their potential is yet, and you hope that they blossom into one of the elite coaches in the NFL. When you're looking for someone to help build a culture and get you back to being competitive, you go with the high floor guys who have the experience. I think Buffalo, if you're between Daboll and Joe Brady, go with Joe Brady.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And look, they haven't made a decision yet, right?
Right. We don't know. They're talking to Daboll today.
Yeah.
They talked to Brady yesterday, and then there was another name that they're talking to today.
Arthur Smith? No. Hey, listen, you see, I'm trying to get my boy out there, man. But no, I mean, look, I hear what he's saying, though.
Yeah.
I hear what if you're gonna make a hire, it should probably be Brady. They should have. I don't know that they should have fired him. I know, like I said, there's a lot going on. He and being like they weren't on the same page.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I mean, look, like I said, there's ties that they bring value that Brian Daboll brings to them,
right?
That may not be elsewhere. You know what I mean?
You know, I like it, and it may be a little bit over the top, maybe a little bit risky, but I do like the idea of them going and getting Davis Webb. I mean, that's the kind of move that you make when you fire the guy who just got you to the playoffs 8 out of 9 years. That's the move you make, is you go and get somebody that you feel like is a rocket ship waiting to launch, and you can be the first one to notice it and get him before he blows up into this huge candidate.
Yeah.
Like that's the type of move that you make when you fire a Sean McDermott. That's why I think the Ravens are going and getting Jesse Minter. Like they're getting a guy who they feel like is about to blossom into one of the best coaches in the NFL. You don't go get a retread who just got fired for going 20-40. And again, I like Brian Daboll as the OC for the Titans, but as a head coach, I don't think that makes sense for Buffalo.
Yeah, no, I get it. Joe Brady is the guy that I would hire. You know what I mean? Or you know, you got to bring in, like you look at the Eagles when they fired Andy Reid. There was excitement because they got a guy who was rocketing up the ranks and considered an offensive genius and et cetera, et cetera. And Chip Kelly. Now, obviously that didn't work, but like, okay, we did away with now we get something new. And I think that's where they could go with Joe Brady, but it doesn't have the same like elevation as Chip Kelly did, but along those lines. One thing real quick, Pelissero.
I was about to, I have that up too.
Go ahead.
So we were talking about Brian Daboll. We've kind of been zeroed in on him because of that Diana Rossini report yesterday. Tom Pelissero has just reported about 15 minutes ago. The Titans continue to work through their offensive coordinator options with Cliff Kingsbury, as TD mentioned earlier, Arthur Smith, Brian Daboll, Adam Stenovich, and Bobby Slowick among the potential options. All have OC experience as Robert Saleh looks for the right man to work with Cam Ward.
Yeah, you mentioned Stanovich too. Like we've covered.
I think all 5 of those names have at least been mentioned. So I like all of them. I think you can get guys who have a little bit more proven experience. Kingsbury, Smith, Dayball, Stanovich, and Slowick have OC experience, but maybe not quite as much. I don't mind Slowick. I think Saleh's very close with D'Amico Ryans. I'm going to make that assumption. I think he can talk to D'Amico about why things went south so quickly with Bobby Slowick after CJ Stroud's meteoric rise as a rookie to Slowick being fired after his second season. I think there's obviously something that needs to be figured out there if Slowick ends up being the guy.
Yeah. So that's something to watch. You look at Stanovich, look at what he's done, with Jordan Love. And I think Jordan Love and Cam Ward, their ability is similar, as far as like off structure, making things happen that way, loving to push the ball down the field. I think they're very similar. So I like that.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Offensive coordinator, it is almost as maybe just as important as the head coaching hire. And what is the plan for Cam Ward? We'll continue to talk about that on the other side as the Titans are set to make Robert Saleh their next head coach, trying to get this team back into contention. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Can't get through a show without it. Oh, there we go. All right. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Nothing like a TD Thursday. Jake Live and Turron, Davenport, Parker, Kelly with you. We got a couple more segments here on this Thursday.
I'm just saying.
Tomorrow on the show, Max Hers will be in for the first hour. We'll talk some Preds and, of course, plenty of Titans talk. Titans hiring Robert Saleh as their next head coach. And the offensive coordinator position has been a hot topic because you hire a defensive head coach when you got a young quarterback who you're expecting to be the franchise. You have to be able to get the right guy to come in and develop him.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Pelissero just put out a list of 5 names that the Titans are considering for the offensive coordinator spot. Brian Daboll was reported yesterday that he was heavily in the mix if he's not the next head coach in Buffalo. Other names, TD mentioned Cliff Kingsbury earlier on in the show, Arthur Smith, Adam Stenavich, and Bobby Slowick. Here is how TD ranks them. And actually, I'll let you go ahead. If you had to rank those 5, 1 through 5, how would you do it?
Now, this was tough, right? Cliff Kingsbury, number 1. Number 2 is where it got a little tough for me, right? Because it's like, wow, I really like what Arthur Smith has done, and I saw it firsthand.
Yeah.
But Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown, they're not walking through that door.
Right. And with what he's done in Atlanta and Pittsburgh, not that it's been horrible, but I think you maybe look at it and say maybe having that generational running back and a high-level wide receiver were a large reason for that success those 2 years.
It's a quarterback play.
But Tannehill was playing awesome football.
Yeah. So, all right. I look at the Packers. I look at Jordan Love, who's one of my favorite quarterbacks. I look at Malik Willis and how he played. I look at Romeo Doubs being a free agent. You know what? Adam Stenavich, number 2.
Yeah.
Then I go Arthur Smith, obvious reasons. Then I go Brian Daboll, and I go Bobby Slowick. That's the order that I go. Now, I think the interesting part of it is, what is your succession plan?
Right.
Who is going to be your pass game coordinator? Who is going to be your wide receiver coach? Who's going to be your running back? Like, how are you going to go about handling that side of it? But then also, is Stenavich going to make a lateral? Like, would he do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Would he leave Green Bay for that? Well, LaFleur's calling the plays, so I guess that would be the reason.
Yeah.
Is he comes here to be the play caller? But you're right. Would he be the succession plan? I don't know. Kingsbury and Stenavich, you have them at the top. I think those are the 2 most likely, if you bring them on. They're the 2 most likely to get a head coaching job after next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you bring one of those guys in, you probably do need to have a succession plan. With Arthur Smith and even Brian Daboll, I know we just had the conversation about him possibly being the Bills head coach. I don't think he's going to be a super hot name, at least for a couple of years on the head coaching market after New York.
Yeah, he still has to get out of that stench.
Right. You need at least a year, just like with Robert Saleh. He had to go back. He came back, and a year later he was.
Mm-hmm.
I think Daboll has a little bit more work to do to get back into that head coaching market. The way things ended with Jackson Dart, him trying to pull him out of the blue tent, like it didn't end great. But you're right. Those 5 names, all of them in one way or another, you have to have an idea of what you're going to do if they get a head coaching job.
And you look at Stenavich, there are 49er ties. 2017, he was an offensive assistant for a year there. We know Saleh was there. So, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where, like, if you breathe the same air as Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay, like, you get good consideration, or you seem to just get an influx of knowledge.
The Rams janitor is going to get an offensive coordinator job.
Here's a name that I wonder, because it was hot, but then it died down. Nate Schilhace.
Yeah, from the Rams.
Yeah. Now,
I think he's still in consideration for a couple.
Right?
Steelers, maybe the Browns.
Okay.
I don't know, but at least one job he is still being considered for. But you're right. just like the Titans did with Matt LaFleur back when they hired Mike Vrabel, maybe there is one of those guys who is under the guru head coach who calls their own plays, who wants to find themselves in a play calling role, and they would come here and be the guy.
Yeah, whoever it is, they better understand the meaning of AGNB.
All gas, no brakes.
Brother. That's Robert Saleh right there. Folks, get used to hearing that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I do think with the offensive coordinator hire, although I do think it could be beneficial to bring in one of those guys, a Sheil Hayes or somebody like that.
Sheil Hayes, yeah.
Or is it Sheil House, Parker?
No, I think it's Sheil Hayes, right?
Sheil House.
It
looks like Sheil.
It looks like Sheil Haas or Hayes, but it's Sheil House. Yeah. You do want somebody who's developed a quarterback, like who has seen a young quarterback and turned him into one of the elite. And that's why I kind of like Brian Daboll. Cliff Kingsbury, you can look and say what he did with Jaden Daniels last year. You mentioned Stenavich working with Jordan Love and Malik Willis. I do like the idea of having one of those guys who there's a proof of concept with it, rather than with Sheil House, like he's working with Matthew Stafford. Like there's not a whole lot of developing going on there.
I get that. I think you make a good point, man.
That's where I am is for the succession plan.
Yeah.
Maybe you have one of those type of up and comers as the future, the OC in waiting. Yeah. But I think for right now, you need somebody who has proof of concept. I have developed a quarterback before. I know what I'm doing when you come in here and basically hand him Cam Ward and say, turn him into our franchise quarterback.
No, you make a good point there.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Again, Tom Pelissero reporting about 30 minutes ago, Titans working through their offensive coordinator options. Names mentioned: Cliff Kingsbury, Arthur Smith, Brian Daboll, Adam Stenavich, Bobby Slowick. I would guess we probably don't find out about who the OC is for at least a little bit here. Again, the Titans still have not officially announced Robert Saleh, at least as of the last time I checked. The last tweet they have up is wishing James Lynch a happy birthday 48 hours ago. So we will see when they announce Saleh, but I would guess the OC hire not too far behind. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Last call for phones. We got one more segment on this TD Thursday. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1-2-5 the game.
Welcome in our friend Charles Robinson to the program from Yahoo Sports. I will be interested in seeing, though, how the OC, really turns out with the Titans and if he's paired with Daboll.
Y'all thought it was Brandon.
Ending the only way he knows how. Parker with some dreams and nightmares to wrap up the show. Jake Lyman, Turron, Davenport, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. What do we think? We calling that a perfect show from Parker Kelly?
Perfect show.
There we go.
Perfect game.
There we
Going
go.
out with a bang.
Wrapping up the show here on this Thursday. Been a lot of fun. Appreciate everybody who has chimed in on the phone and text lines today. Something we didn't mention when talking about those OC candidates that Tom Pelissero just put out there. Matt Nagy not listed on them. So any thought of a possible arranged marriage between Saleh and Nagy does not seem to be very likely at this point.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very likely, but you never know. You never know, man. I just wonder how their personalities would mesh, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I've heard this point before, and I see both sides. Matt Nagy, I think, yes, does want to kind of get out of Andy Reid's shadow a little bit, and you can do that by becoming a play-calling offensive coordinator again. But he also said the next head coaching job he takes, he doesn't want to call plays. So it's like, is that something he would do, is come here and be the OC? I guess they've already kind of replaced him in Kansas City, bringing Eric Bieniemy back too.
Yeah. No, that was a done deal as far as in Kansas City. And I think when you look at that, it's because they felt his contract was done. From someone I talked to very, very close to him, he told them, I'm not coming back.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No matter what happens,
I'm either a head coach or a play calling offensive coordinator.
Gotcha. So Nagy not listed, at least from that report by Tom Pelissero, of options at offensive coordinator, but you never know until the hire is made. Wrapping up the show, TD, tonight, Vandy women's basketball back in action. I don't know if you got to watch Monday's game at all. Michigan top 10 matchup.
Yeah.
We got the win out there.
Listening to ESPN radio, I heard a familiar voice.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
How about it?
That was pretty cool. They put the call on Sports Center all night on Monday. That was a huge win. NCAA tournament atmosphere up there in Newark. 2 top 10 teams, and Vandy up 19 in the third quarter. Michigan gave everything they could to try and come back, but Vandy pulled it off 19-0. We go for 20 tonight. Auburn at Memorial Gym. So the snow is not here yet. So if you want to come out and watch some basketball, that is your opportunity. 6:30 is the tip. I'll have pregame coverage at 6:15 on 94.9 The Fan. Are you ready for the snow, TD?
Listen, man, I'm ready for the look. The Hummer is gassed up. We're good to go. I'm just praying that the snow doesn't interfere with the Tuesday flight to Mobile. Went to the market, stocked up. My daughter and I, my little Devin, man, that's my baby. She's my youngest. We're ready to rock, man. We're ready to rock.
I am. I'm a little worried. We're going to South Carolina this weekend. Big game on Sunday. Huge game. Top 5 matchup at South Carolina. If we win tonight, Vandy will be 20-0. If South Carolina wins tonight, they'll be 20-1. That is 2:00 Central Time on Sunday. So we're leaving tomorrow now to get out before the snow.
Okay.
But it's like, who knows how bad it's going to be. It's like, I don't know what the plan is from there, but
coming back.
But
might be an issue.
I mean, at the very least, I don't have to worry. My fiance, we stocked up on groceries. She's good for the weekend, but I'll be out of town. So don't have to worry about getting stuck at least.
I think I'm going to go to that game tonight. I'm going to have to check on some tickets. I'm going to go. I don't think I'm there.
Auburn is they're scrappy. They've won their last 2 SEC games. They didn't play on Sunday. New head coach, but this is also the team. If you remember back to last year, this is the team Michaela Blake's dropped 55 on. So
really?
Yep.
What about my other girl though?
Aubrey had 20 in Newark on Monday. She hit the 3 that really iced it at the end. She also hit one of the craziest shots I've ever seen. Shot clock is running down, and she didn't really see it and was kind of dribbling over towards the right wing and looked up and saw the shot clock running down and just kind of threw a 25, 30-foot hook shot up, hit the back rim and fell through. So she had 20, career high on Monday against Michigan.
Nice.
So it's been fun.
I'm in the building.
You're in the building?
Oh, yeah. Looking at another free shout out that is not going to happen again. Tick Pick. I found some nice tickets.
There we go. Excited to have you over at Memorial. And again, if anyone wants to come out and watch, I mean, this is a Final Four contender team that you've got in town right now with Vandy women's basketball. 19-0, chance to make it 20 straight to start the season ahead of top 5 matchup on ESPN on Sunday against South Carolina. So great opportunity to come out. TD, quick final thoughts here as we wrap up the show. Titans, lots of moving parts here. You got Robert Saleh. Now you're working on the staff. And, of course, the Senior Bowl coming up next week. Going to be an important week across the board for the Titans as they sort these things out.
Yeah, huge, man. This is a lot of prospects you get to see. And, look, folks, in the event Mike Berganzi, Robert Saleh, Chad Brinker, and the crew don't go to Mobile, chill out. Just relax. It is okay. These practices, you have access to them.
Right, there's video.
All 22, all video. It's there. You can still get a good player without meeting them in person. You're going to get an opportunity to meet with guys that you like in person at the combine and in other meetings. It's okay.
Well, and I can also make the assumption that somebody from the Titans will be there, right? Like they're going to send a lot of people down there. It just may not be Borgonzi and Saleh and Brinker.
Exactly. I would imagine John. My bad, John. I always mess your name of John Salgi.
Oh yeah.
He'll probably be there. They're going to have their scouting people.
What about like the slew of former GMs that the Titans employ? Reggie McKenzie.
Big Reg is always there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so the Titans are going to have people there, and again, I can't seem to get my mind off Ruben Bain, David Bailey. Like, if you're already in draft mode and looking forward to who the Titans are going to pick it for, those are options A and B right now. I think based on the way the board is mocked to fall and the positional needs the Titans have. Bain and Bailey both are going to be down there in Mobile. So an opportunity to see those guys. And I don't know what the tackle group looks like down there in the Senior Bowl, but I think the tackle group should be given at least a little bit of, a little bit of cushion here, considering the type of competition they're going to be facing this week.
Yeah. Some guys are going to make some money, man. That's for sure.
Yes. And excited for that. TD will be boots on the ground in Mobile. Again, hoping the snow doesn't affect it all that much as we wait for what could be a ton of snow, a ton of ice this weekend. But always appreciate TD coming on. And TD, the plan is to do it next week while you're down in Mobile. So we will have another TD Thursday coming up.
Absolutely, man. I can't wait, man. Make sure you guys check out Talking with TD this week.
Yes.
We talk about the Senior Bowl. You get a nice preview with Drew Fabianich, the executive director, first-year executive director of the Senior Bowl. Awesome conversation, man. He was a dope dude to talk to.
Yes.
You'll love the Ruben Bain talk, by the way.
Yeah, be sure to check that out. Again, Talking with TD, anywhere you get your podcast. I'm sure it'll be playing on the station throughout the weekend, too. If you're ever driving around, you'll have a chance to listen to it. Again, tomorrow on the show, we will have Max Herzin from 9 to 10. The Preds are back in action tonight. They're taking on Ottawa in the second of this 3-game homestand. It's a big game for the Preds. You've lost 2 in a row to Vegas and then Buffalo on Tuesday. Need a win to keep things on track. So we will talk through things with Max. Roman Yossi playing his 1,000th NHL game tonight. So we'll get into all that with Max Herz tomorrow morning on the show from 9 to 10. And then from 10 to 12, of course, your usual football talk. We will get you ready for the weekend. AFC and NFC championship games, Titans coaching stuff, all that kind of stuff coming up tomorrow on the show. Here we go. Going out the only way we know how. TD, always a pleasure. That'll do it for us. Chase and Big Joe are coming up next. Keep it right here on 102.5 The Game.